Good evening and welcome to Maria's Taco Express Awesmic City Poetry and Music for January 21st, 2014. All the regulars are here.
Okay.
And we're going to get started soon. But we just lost our first act. He went out to help someone come in, so what shall I do? What shall I do? I am going to get my tablet, my Kindle Fire, and I shall be right back.
That was a test, wasn't it?
That was a test. That was only a test.
Okay.
Had this been an actual emergency, you would have been directed to tune in to your local Colorado station. But we are actually on the air, so to speak. So to speak. So I will vamp here with a poem that I read last week, but it was between music where the camera tilted down, and so my head was cut off during this whole thing from both cameras.
That's so very French.
Yes, it is. So I'm going to read this poem again and get it on video. It's called The Dark. I have made friends with the dark. Gradually, subtly, unknowingly. Lights out at 5, there were monsters under bed, in open closet, outside, plus spiders rappelling all around me, until I conjured up a spider-proof curtain lowering at bedtime from my ceiling. At 10, I would still close closet doors superstitiously every night, just in case. In times when everything was possible, imagination ran rampant, monsters ruled, wolves lurked deep in the local woods, and golden eagles carried off babies. With adulthood, there were still boogeymen, no realistic basis for fear of the dark, to be sure. Though they did not hide in my bedroom closet, and my spider curtain was no longer required. In middle age now, I just know a home intruder would trip and fall in my messy, cluttered house when sneaking about without the benefit of light, and my guard cats would attack him viciously. Well, probably not. But he might stumble from one rubbing against his leg and begging for a bribe. I rather appreciate the play of moonlight and darkness, as well as that of sunlight on a day brilliant and glowing. But the shadowy contrast of black and white and gray pierces deeply into my fundamental human psyche, and hints of things seen, unseen, and almost seen, raising the hairs on the back of my neck in alarm, racing the pace of my beating heart with appreciation, with apprehension, and driving my fertile mind to ponder and wonder at worlds dreamed, known, and yet to be discovered. For the dark is the mind is me, I am the dark. Thank you. And now that we have all company assembled here, I would call on Mr. Scott. Vanya.
Let's see if this will do. If I can play this with just one mic. I mean, I don't know if we'll be able to do that, but
I still want to be in the.
can you hear that well enough, or do I need the other mic?
I'll
You might need to pull it closer.
It's gonna be tricky. Turbo synthesis. So where have we been? Where have we been this last week? Let's see, some of us at our computers, some of us on the road, some of us cuddled away with children, others working the beat down day. And that's just the start of it. Blood songs were sung in the heart. What were the sounds that kept you up at night or made you squint your eyes when you looked at the light? Are they going to be the same ones you see tomorrow, or is tonight going to open up some place in your heart that says something original really is about to happen? Isn't that what we're hoping for? Isn't that what friendship brings when you can sit around and do nothing but be yourself? Whether it's a broken song or a broken tune or a pair of enchiladas sitting by the door waiting for you. Seems every day's a holiday, this. And I know it gets cold sometimes. Just reach out your hand. Who knows, maybe you'll find that warm embrace you've been looking for. Thanks.
Have I turned it?
Okay, let's see.
I think we have passed off.
Oh, that didn't help. I thought those were going to. Yeah,
But we have enough light for a video. Yeah. Scott's camera looks good, and mine adjusts to the dark. Pull it back. It's a big edit point here, I'm sure. Okay. Anyah, are you ready? Ms. Anyah Deshawn, everyone. Ooh, let there be light. Very nice. Thank
I was
you.
like, how are we going to read this? Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. It does make a difference.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. Texas skies. Put the top down to the convertible. Texas highways are to be experienced. Eyes not on the road this time. Witnessing where the...
Sorry.
I'm going to start along. Texas skies. Put the top down to the convertible. Texas highways are to be experienced. Eyes not on the road this time. Witnessing where the horizon meets the pale blue sky. Artist unknown with paintbrush strokes, changing in midair. Painting fast and furiously a sunset with burning colors. Shades of pink, peach, orange, yellow, and all the spray between. While the sun takes its last breath, breathing the rays between the clouds, and before night strolls in with its diamond, sparkling star blanket, there is enough daylight left to see, cotton fields still yielding. This rider stops for cotton balls that have drifted onto the highway. Cotton balls exploded and puffed lay to the sides of this highway and are free for the taking. This is real, and with paper bags stuffed full of runaway cotton balls, and with the top down in this red Corvette. No spin-out is necessary. Texas skies make this lonely highway the true highway to heaven.
Okay, it's time for Thom, the world poet. And his accomplice, Scott Vanya.
Get the app, snap to attention, shun the frumiest bandersnatch, hunt red October as the April month, morning becomes electric, horseman, lone star, saddles ride the problem, desert dusters, dry humor fails the punch, line up boys, it's dancing time tonight. I gave up counting stars as they change so very often. Uranus ceased to be a planet, space stations, satellites, chemtrails cross our allergic eye skies. But at the beach counting waves instead of sheep asleep beneath yellow sun, blue sky. So many songs, each one a blade of grass, lawnmower forgetfulness cuts off their ancestral memories. We hum and relocate disparate worlds. Whole epics once recited now make cartoon Disney movies. Text means different things to young green grass. Now with unknown voices creating disposables. Forget this whispered smile, so intimate, so individual. When you sleep and dream, it will be different. When you wake, you'll still be seeing stars, but who knows moon. Reach up, an orange round remains beyond your fingertips. You say you can see by the dawn's early light. Moon, go to sleep, his old soul shares his light. You can never get too close to him, burn, baby, burning. Solar flares and ice sun romance gravity orbit. Everything is in relationship. Everything is moving, dynamic. Movies reveal more than photographs, even when they're framed. Illusion closeness, one or two of you will claim moon dust on their moon boots. Michael Jackson's moonwalking, MTV's moon men, few hold them. Elements of distance, perspective, emotions in space-time, new counted calendars, day brings in new relationships. They too float in space as we do tonight. They always claim to be new. Tell me, is this a new day?
Hey.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, Thom. Thank you both. Well, I haven't written any poems in the last week, but I have written 2 songs.
Yay, songs.
Ron Kewen and I are working on the early stages of a musical.
What?
Kind of
Musical?
a Texas country type musical. And we haven't quite worked out the plot yet, but we have some elements that we want to put in. Some song lyrics are more poetry than others. This first one here is a song type song, and I don't have the melody. Ron has come up with the melody, and I approved it, but I don't remember it, so I'm just going to read it as a poem.
That was good.
Bluebonnet Road. Bluebonnet Road, here we go, blue skies above and below, as we roll past fields of cotton, fields of corn. Blue and white blooms line our way on such a sunny Texas day, and you be no place but here, sure as you're born. Winding round the back roads through blackland prairie farms, bluebonnets just a-wavin' in the breeze. You get the giddy feeling you're right where you belong, and you can do anything you please. Basking in the sunshine of an early Texas spring, still enjoying a slight nip in the air, you breathe in all the fragrance of wildflowers in the field, and new life is exploding everywhere. Bluebonnet Road, here we go, blue skies above and below, as we roll past fields of cotton, fields of corn. Blue and white blooms line our way on such a sunny Texas day, and you'd be no place but here, sure as you're born.
Yeah.
Riding in the back bed of a rusty pickup truck, rattling and rolling down the line, dodging skunks and armadillos as you bounce along your way, and every mile you go, you're feeling fine. Bluebonnet Road, here we go, blue skies above and below, as we roll past fields of cotton, fields of corn. Blue and white blooms line our way on such a sunny Texas day, and you'd be no place but here, sure as you're born. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lyrics by Louise Richardson, and music to come from Ronald Kewen. Sorry about that, Ron, wherever you are. He's in Round Rock, hosting his own open mic tonight. And next on the list again is Scott Vanya. Scott Vanya!
Yeah, I had a friend one time that he went out to, I think it was the East Coast, or one of those coasts, he went to the East Coast. And he came back to Texas and stood with me on Galveston Beach one time and said, and he was in awe, and it was interesting to see him because I could tell he was speaking honestly. He said, there's no skies quite like the Texas skies as he was looking out over the ocean. And he said it had something to do with the clouds. He said the clouds were layered here more than like in Connecticut or New Hampshire or wherever he was. I used to think he was full of it. So I went to Phoenix and I saw the blue in their sky. They had, at least on the day I was there, they had incredibly blue skies. I only recently learned, I think the color is called cerulean. So I was sitting in my car less than an hour ago. I wanted to tell a poem about how, because I figured it'd come up, as rainbows often do at poetry reading, that the real pot of gold is each one of us. You don't have to look too far for it, only in your own heart. I had a dream today, thought I was a piece of wood. Then I realized that the only thing that makes a human is he's got an inside. Oh, how nice it is to have an inside that someone else's music or someone else's words or a face or a sound or a light or an attraction can rhyme or beat or harmonize with yours, and you can feel that pulse like a drum head, like I've seen Anyah do it. Astronomers say if it weren't an open universe, the sky would be all white at night. Maybe it's the distance between us that makes it worth going down those roads. And I don't know what brings me from there to here, or what will take me around the bend. I just know this. That when I get lonely or when I get blue, the one thing that always creeps back into my heart is love itself. I can't think of any more grand creation than that. Maybe it's because I'm a humble man, maybe it's because I'm not. But love is what makes the world go around. And I don't care how much untarnished gold can be, but when I put my hand on your chest, or yours mine, I feel how much it means, you to me. And I know that love is green as a field of wild grass, that we can all lay down in and hear the earth beat. Have you ever turned your ears to the sound of a flower growing? Now that's what I mean. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, Scott Vanya. Thank you. Next again, one of the founders, maybe the founder of this venue, this open mic, Anyah, Sean. Who else?
So we can get the record straight. It was Patricia Fisk.
Patricia
but-
Fisk.
Because Thom and Patricia were talking about starting a venue here. And so they talked about it, and then it kind of was put aside, and Thom jumped right on it because they said yes. Thom called me and he said, hey, would you like to be one of the
Okay.
hosts?
Yes.
I said, sure. And I came up with the name Awesmic
Right.
to tie into Awesmic City, Austin, Texas. So that's how all that came in.
Right.
So anyway, and yes, I am one of the founders.
It was a good
Everybody's a founder.
Good to the founder of the flounder.
Sorry. The flounder. As happens whenever we have Awesmic City Cafe out in Dripping Springs, sometimes they go rather late, and we're outside under the stars. And this poem is about when everyone leaves, there's just a little vacuum because there's no activity, no chatty talking and things, and so it's very quiet. And so I'm cleaning up outside, putting things away, and we didn't get to light the campfire that night. So I said, okay, I have some logs. I'm just gonna light a fire, So I put that aside, and this is the experience after everyone left. Campfires under the stars. The party is over. People left no traces, and a firewood was untouched that lay invitingly and neatly stacked by the house. Cool enough to start the fire now. Outdoors first. And if there are to be logs left over when I'm done, I'll be out here under the stars and then take it inside. And that will be the next destination station. The owls are in the next field and close enough for me to see. They have their wide opened eyes glaring at me. They are as still as I am. My camera zooms as far as it can with the night vision activated. Then on my last log, I was curious. I asked, will it be the same inside where the hearth is cluttered with everything that can catch fire? I bring the logs in anyway. The fire starter is in plain view. Boy Scout sticks and flint rock action I never mastered, but I know oh so well how to sell Girl Scout cookies. The fire is easy to light. Inside and in the quietude, I can hear the crackle of the logs as they give way, dropping onto hot coals and ash below. Moving to the comfy reading chair, moving closer to these new flames. My feet get just so warm. I light my reading lamp, cuddle into my high-back reading chair, tilt my reading glasses, and open my book to the page with the downturned corner. I escape to the Akashic world of Rudolf Steiner. As the cinders float up, I think of meteors and planets, the comets, and of the cosmos I had yet to visit. I see the cinders are universes of their own.
Thank you, Anyah. Next up again, Thom,
Oh, that's
a world poet.
Sure. Well, taking my lead from the wonderful Anyah about the life we live, slicing into poetry and to the actual illuminations that every day gives us. Sylvia sends her thanks to you for her birthday, by the way. But this is about last night. Every Monday now, the manager of the Headhunters, thrash metal, heavy tattoo, dark, the abysmal bottom of hell, Dante's underworld basement, invites poets in and says, you need to make it every week and you need to have features and you need to promote it if you want people to come. So, we listen. He knows his own club. So last night, Julian Caro was the host. Vasilino was the poet. That is what happened. Apollo comes to Dionysius with a Lone Star beer can in one hand, a shot of spirits in the other. Bacchus wore beads and a smile at headhunters. Welcome to my world. As the shadows start to gather, some would convene near the stage, others out the back with darker laughter. Welcome to dark space and dark matter. Dionysius laughed loud and chanted into the microphone. The purpose of this evening is to get the host drunk. Yet even he could not lose consciousness fast enough. Apollo sipped poetry, watched distantly, absorbed slowly. Soon the young lion bands would enter this Colosseum. Soon the Christians would learn another lesson about lions laying down with the lambs. Now, this week we lost two beautiful souls. Larry Monroe from KDRP and Steve Fromholtz. Steve Fromholtz died. Shotgun. Not a suicide, accident. He had feral hogs. He was going to shoot the feral hogs, but he shot himself instead. I know. So this is about those certain beautiful souls. Yeah, you would have. Well, I was in a commercial with him for the Lone Star Cafe. Here we go. As musicians catch fire, spontaneously combust, as each one shoots out his or her holy skin, and will not be returning for a Burning Man encore. It crawls to a traffic of iPhones, recorders, to replay the body of work, to be those bodies remembering, passing on bright warmth, to the slim, thin stalks of rising young grass collectives, pre-industrial strength lawnmowers, wild weeds, polite and petite to the interrogators, and you witnesses, following in the wake at the wake, Finnegan's and Dylan Thomas's White Horse Chelsea Hotel, know that history too is a dead body. You can dig only if you're alive enough to shovel it. Sips and slips of flame are burning to release, and you are the future stage we must stand upon.
Once again, Thom and Scott. I met Steve Fromholtz about 30 years ago. I don't know why they let me do this, but I helped organize a benefit concert that included Steve Fromholtz and Eslerh's Follies.
Oh, wow.
I think it was it at Eslerh's Follies or the Ritz, somewhere back there?
Yeah.
And in those days I did all kinds of things and nobody told me not to. But even then, Steve Fromholtz was known very well, and I really enjoyed his music. His Texas trilogy, especially.
Yes.
That is the heart of rural Texas. That whole song cycle. Yes. Oh, wonderful stuff.
Wow.
Well, now it is time for our own Benjamin Franklin.
Yes.
The Franklin doppelganger, David Lester Young.
As I write, I transition into different people. As I start to demote my David Lester Young, I'm starting to promote my Ben Bibblebanger persona. Persona will be kind of like an a cappella poet, probably also with free speech. Don't ask me what key I'm singing in, because I still haven't found that one out. I am working on some music with Ron and a few people, and we'll see how that goes. Today I was writing something. It's called Austin Magic, and it was actually a poem turned into a poem lyric that transitioned all the way down to the very end. And I did add one special word at the end. So I'm going to try to figure out a key to sing this in. Sounded pretty good when I did it earlier, but that was before. By the way, it's Austin Magic poem in lyrics. Tune your heart into a magical Austin beat, where country souls smile within free-spirited mind that string together musical beats. Sensual soft Texas wind sails aloft the Colorado, flowing a musical melody, sing adrift Austin's harmony. Sing a song inside the heart of Texas, upon streets alive within the sounds of live music, strumming in the venue musical beats. Sensual South Texas sway, sailing aloft the Colorado, flowing a musical melody, singing adrift Austin's harmony. Have to love Austin's atmosphere highlights, where Austin City blossomed pure, sailing musical smile vibration, adrift Colorado's Austin, Awesmic melody. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Well, I spoke to Anyah about the video, and she likes to cut the show into half-hour segments.
Yes.
And so this would be the end of our first one. I'm going to cut this part out right now. I mean, when I do the editing.
Okay.
But if I start the show over again every half hour, that's what's happening. I would like to ask everyone, and I should have done this in previous shows.
Yes.
We have cameras here, but we also have a camera over here, and we have people sitting there.
Yes, we do.
So just naturally kind of turn that way from time to time, and
Okay.
we'll get coverage on both sides. Okay. Welcome to Maria's Taco Express and Awesmic City! Open mic, poetry, and music.
Yeah.
And I forgot to bring up my device.
Cut.
Cut!
Professional as always.
That's right, professional as always. Okay. I forgot the order there for a second.
Oh.
Okay, this is the other song I wrote this week.
Okay.
And I think this is more poetic, and a few of the songs Ron and I are writing together. I write the lyrics and he writes the music, and we kind of tweak it between us. And then some songs he's writing himself, lyrics and music, and I'm doing the same. And this is one, I haven't completely worked out the melody yet, but this one I'm doing all by myself. We don't know exactly what the plot is going to be, but it's going to have something to do with a woman going back to her childhood home, which is now underwater. I think I've told you this before.
Mm-hmm.
My mother grew up on a farm outside of Friendship, Texas, which is now at the bottom of Lake Granger, I think it is.
Yeah.
And so that little tidbit of fact is part of the basis of the plot so far as we've come up with for this show. The woman in the show, I think, is more sentimental than my mother was. I think she and her brothers and her parents were happy to move into Austin, after World War II and the Great Depression. I think they were happy to be out of the relative poverty of living on a farm in the Depression years. But in this show, this woman, who's one of the central characters, is feeling nostalgic, and one of her sons has talked her into coming back to. I think they're going to spread the ashes of her father over where they think the farm was. I think that's what we're going to do. But anyway, this is called You Can't Go Home Again. You can't go home again when your home is underwater. You can't go home again when your farm is washed away. Why did I think that I could regain my lost girlhood? And why did I believe I could relive it all today? My past is deep below, a home for fish and for turtles. No longer will I know the meadows of my youth. I wander in my dreams through fields of corn and sorghum. What happened to it all? I'll never know the truth. You can't go home again when your home is underwater. You can't go home again when your farm is washed away. Why did I think that I could regain my lost girlhood? And why did I believe I could relieve it all today? When I was a girl, I rode to school upon my pony. It hurt my childish pride. My schoolmates rode in cars. But now I'd give the world to saddle up old Pinto and gallop field to field underneath the Texas stars. How I wish I could go back with Daddy and with Momma. I wish I could see again them smiling at the door. See Daddy mowing hay, see Momma in the kitchen. I would never leave again. I would never want for more. You can't go home again when your home is underwater. You can't go home again when your farm is washed away. Why did I think that I could regain my lost girlhood? And why did I believe I could relive it all today? Thank you, Scott Bavaria.
I like that. My favorite line's the line about the Pinto.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great line.
My mother had a horse named Pinto, actually.
I had a thing called Pinto.
Oh, yeah?
I had a couple of them. Greedy little bastard. Oh, sorry. PG rated.
Yeah.
You know, I'm addicted to the new.
Okay.
Okay, definitely addicted to the new. But the funny thing is, I always get into this because I have an affliction for homonyms too, or at least I should say I'm afflicted by homonyms.
My goodness.
And it's a tough affliction where new becomes new and peace becomes peace and all that funny stuff. So I thought I'd take a second, and this might be mute on y'all's ears, but to make some newness by telling you what I know. Only a few chords, first off. I know I love my friends enough to go out of the way to see them. I know I love my kids to the tune of every hair on their head. I know I love open mics, peace, plenty, prosperity, laughter. I know there's something greater than myself because on the days I don't want it to rain, it rains. And on the days I do want it to stop, it keeps going. A little bit about computers, a lot about nothing. That there's a little space in me that while it is just my own, I have to say that again. There is a little space in me that is just my own. I like it better when it's occupied by others. I like the sound of Hemingway in my head, Steinbeck, Frank Herbert, Robert Heinlein, Calvino, more than I can name actually. I like the way people make up G-rating stuff. I like G-ratings. Now we'll find a Dumbo though. Saw it recently, wasn't what I thought it was. Lord of the Rings, myth, fables, stories. Idling away my time doing nothing, smoking cigarettes, coffee together, not separately. Soft sounds more than loud. The way a dog will lick my face, and when I tell him to get down, he really does not want to. My new gerbils, they're mine, they're really my daughter's. The way Christmas comes and goes and after it's gone, it sort of makes you wonder, what the hell was that all about? Lost friends, gained friends, new friends to be, friends to come, friends you don't know. Just ride around the corner being friendly with everyone. When I think of a beautiful summer's day, I think of us sitting at a park. And I don't mean the Rousseau one, I think that's the one that didn't go along with all those parts. I just mean us sitting at a park, maybe it's Silker, I don't know. Not listening to any sort of big band or nothing, maybe just a few of us. Kind of like Peace Park, you might say. On that one cold night last month or the month before. What do I know? I know I love you because you listen. You hear, you act, you are who you are, even though you may not know it. I cannot do the things I am not doing. So might as well throw myself into the ones I am. Peace is a wish everyone should have fulfilled. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scott. Okay. Anyah's up again. Sean. Bless you, bless you, Tom. Oh my goodness. Allergies.
No, it's Kim Trials.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. So being as that I'm from Northwest Texas, people never could figure out what kind of accent I had, so I kind of mixed it with Houston and New York and California and Florida and
Australia.
with the roots of Texas.
Yeah.
So we're going to do this with West Texas accent here. I know you're going to love it. How many people know of horned toads? Have you ever seen one?
Oh, yes.
Horny toads, yeah.
Horned toad, yeah, horned toad.
Used to be in every backyard.
Yeah. Okay, the horned toads of Texas. Who would have thought that in the 60s, one could sell a horned toad for $1?
Wow.
We did, and West Texas was an easy buyer for the ant-eating blood spitters. Soothing the horned toad takes a bit of nerve. It takes Texas guts and grits.
Yeah.
Mesquite tree, bean-eating prowess to grab their horns just right. Boot shoe boxes were used as carrying cases. In Letty & Son, extra large boot boxes. And these were resting homes for the toads. Between the transit from the back alleys of paved caliche rock, where the ant mounds were true anthills of Texas. The money was good. We sold at least one to every house on the block. Door-to-door sales came naturally. And sometimes we could sell the same toad to the same buyer. Because at that time, they didn't inject the locator chips. And toads have a tendency to run back to the same anthills. And they run back to the same familiar boot shoe box. This boot shoe box, Mom made us keep at a distance from her.
Yeah.
Chester, my favorite toad, was trained by me. He was a keeper. We didn't know anything of insecticides for these flaming fire ants. Toads were nature's way of ant control. Where did all the toads go?
Yeah.
Well, I bought one at Hallmark the other day for $12.
What?
It was a perfect replica, but couldn't spit blood from his eye, like Chester, which I resold for many $1.
That's wonderful. Yeah. That's a good story.
Yes, I remember the horny toads, which are actually lizards, not toads, but we always call them horned toads
Right.
or horned frogs. And TCU has the horned frog as its mascot, and that's
Wow. Okay.
so. So whenever they chose that as their mascot, it was a long time ago, and they were quite plentiful, as Anyah said.
Yeah.
Once again, the doppelganger of one of our founding fathers,
Mr. Ben Franklin.
Mr. Ben Franklin doppelganger,
Yes, please.
David Lester Young.
Doppelganger. Yeah.
I wrote this one today. It may need some work on, but it's called Chug-a-Lug, My Dear, and it's also a poem and lyrics. But I'm going to go ahead and read it as a poem. I had a foxy, country, sexy filly for a while that made me feel so frilly inside. So I left my old lady go for this spring chick, telling her, chug-a-lug, my dear, I am leaving you. I am going to sow my oats with this new sexy partner.
Oh.
My new filly cooked down a bottle of bourbon so fast it left my savings account flat broke in supporting her, where she did shout aloud, telling me, chug-a-lug, my dear, I am leaving you. I am going to sow my oats with a new sexy partner. Consuming a bitter brew, one drinks shots alone, so quick one feels the heart being broken. As I did chug-a-lug, seeing the ex come my way, telling me, chug-a-lug, Chester, I am not leaving you, drive your car drunk. You can sleep with your new spring chicken in the hen house. I am going to sow my oats with my new stud partner. So upon the full moon, Chester did hear the rooster crow inside the house, while the spring chicken did pick at him all night long.
Good one. Well, I just did the unthinkable. I skipped Thom.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm used to it.
And here is Thom, the world poet. I'm so sorry.
I haven't even got Scott. That's fine. But I'll tell you a story. It's a true story.
You got slaughtered.
I got it, yeah. Absolutely, very good. I was at this place today, and this guy was demanding something, right? And as soon as people start demanding, I start listening to them because obviously something's going on here. It was actually like an embroidery shop that makes these hats and things like that, right? And I love costumes. Come on, Scott, we need you, baby. Anyway, as soon as I start talking, kangaroos start jumping out of my mouth. People start saying, "You're not from around here, boy, are you?" And I say, "No, I'm from West Texas." And they all laugh, ha ha ha, he's from South Austin. They can tell. But cut a long story short, I had to explain to him how come I'm here in Texas, because apparently there's not many Australians here. I look around. So I told him, and then I said, well, I do poetry with music, and I used to have a few bands, a band called Future Now, Paul Thom's poetry band. Anyway, I used to go to California for New Year's Eve, do poetry and music into the new year, with a band called Listeners. I say this because today I got a reply to a poem I sent about the fact that the band didn't hold together for long. Because as with every group enterprise, it's a very fragile thing. Human beings are fragile things. So I'll read the answer I got from my friend Victor, who in San Jose has let me just explain. There's a group of people who actually work together, not just these poets, but they're a group of musicians. And they work together so much so they live together in a railway carriage, and they practice together inside a storage unit, right? They put all their stuff inside the storage unit and use it as rehearsal space. This is all in San Jose, California. And I would come over and they'd have a big production every New Year's Eve, and they'd do stuff in Brookdale Lodge. They float that. Anyway, the band split up. I loved them all, but they didn't love each other much. But this is, I'll read you the reply, which I received today, and then the reason I got the reply. So it goes like this. Hi Thom. Don't all living bands become nostalgia if they stick around long enough? All those splits and fights were long ago talked through, forgiven and forgotten like old battlefields. The space they occupied is long grown over. Blissneys played a show last year, including a horn section that were able to work in for a couple of tunes, Savoy Truffle and Peaches on Regalia with saxes, flute and trumpet. We all had a blast skating together and really immersing ourselves in our music. Old Dead Bug was alive and on fire for our 2 nights in the mountains, really good stuff. I'm playing with Grandpa's Chili these days and writing new music for them, so we're still recreating ourselves out here. I've now played a 20-year anniversary show with 3 different bands. I don't know if it's right, but I must be doing something. And this is why he replied, because once upon a time in California, there was a band called Blissneys, Fools for Joy, of the Grateful Dead independent noodling style of improvising, and they linked to a quarry of other bands like Soup, Grandpa's Chili, etc., rehearsing in a storage facility where they could pack their equipment and make as much noise as they so desired, while some lived in a railway carriage, commune, others in houses and suburbs. They would take it in turn which band would be featured as highlight of the night, and a friendly camaraderie lasts as long as each could be created. For even in California, even among the fish tribe, shows had to be booked and facilitated from day job income. Splits happened, musical direction, drugs, friendship fights, and the band morphed into other bands. Facebook retains some of the tribal joy, and when folk gather under whatever banner, fine times are recalled. Since when did living bands become nostalgia for times past which may never come again? Just saying.
Thom and Scott and Thom. Well, yesterday was Martin Luther King's birthday. And I wrote this poem, I think, during the Reagan administration back then, when people seemed to be forgetting about the civil rights movement already. And this is confessions from one race to another, confessions. Our kind, we tore you from your native soil. We stole away all but the bones of your culture. We sold you, bought you, lashed you, slashed you, and taught you to revere, to adhere to our ways, our tongue, our God, our geography. And then, when we reluctantly released your bonds, we devised ways to extend your serfdom for our profit. You were left with only your wits and precious little of your dignity. Through it all, you bore the guilt, and we most shamelessly continue to use you as a disturbed child would use a battered toy only upon caprice or boredom. When again, reluctantly, we condescended to deem you equal, oppression ended. We enjoyed delusions of humanity. In our ignorance, we kept our sanity. You must teach us Christianity, however alien it may be to our nature.
Very good.
Thank you. Once again, Scott Panya.
Yay, Scott.
Oh, for the man who forgets that he's in the moment, the rest of us are. It's so easy to sometimes have your mind wander into a place that has absolutely nothing to do with reality.
What's reality?
Yeah, good point. Speaking of the ones who sort of defocus. ones who, like me, spent time at their jobs wishing they had root canals instead of being at that job. Yeah. And I know it's easy to, I shouldn't say it's easy, it's sad. But it happens so often that one of us turns an eye away from the truth or something that has anything to do with anything and focuses strictly on what's inside, the suffering, the pain, the sorrow. You know what I'm talking about. And if I could tell William anything, it would be he had friends, or you had friends, you didn't even know you had. But there's no easy way to come back to the moment. As far as I can tell, it's a difficult thing. And I've been practicing for a long time with my kids. Sort of an easygoing attitude. Are we to deny that we are merely stones rolling down a hill? Water seeking the center of the earth? Are we to fight it? And look uphill. Somewhere out there, I think his name was Joe. I'm thinking of the one, Grapes of Wrath. And he said, somewhere there's a cop beating up a guy. And only this week you said, as long as a man's not free, none of us are free. My dad's losing his hearing. And I don't know if he'll ever be able to hear what I said to him. Just the other day, my mom told me as she sat on my couch and he was off running an errand, taking care of something for me, because that's the way he knows how to express himself. She said, basically, this is a paraphrase, she said, you have to forgive him, and this is a quote, because you're so much wiser than he is. And I look at Ian and I think, well, has it been my vanity that separated me from thinking that he's wiser than I am? There was a sign once at Full English, and I went in there at every single open mic. It said, may I grow up to be like my father, or all the good parts of my father. And my dad is such a poet, he just thinks so beyond description. So I guess this is a poem for men, or a song for men, or a piece for men. Let your kids be who they want to be. And just stand off. So maybe that's it. Maybe you can go uphill. If you just stand back from the river for a while. Watch it go by you. So much of poetry is spent talking about the river or the ocean or the boat. But what about the bank on that river? What about the tree on that riverbank? Inside me is something older than the universe. all I want to do is give it back to the universe.
Oh, beautiful.
Nice shot.
That's good stars inside us.
There you go.
There you go. There you go.
Hey.
Put it back to the universe.
Again, Anyah
Good on ya.
Deshawn.
Hey, oh yeah. Ah.
Okay, so you need to tell me if the piano, because I'm not out there.
Okay. We're out there as well as in here.
Okay.
That's sweet.
How many of us held a prism in the palm of our hand and searched for the beam of sunlight, sunlight that strikes the plains of a crystal so clear? Refracted light in beams that color the air. Red and orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, and indigo seas. You know the spectrum of seven we call the spectrum of light. If you can see these waves reach into your heart, this heart, the prism no one can hold in the hand, expansive beyond the touch. So many colors, the eye cannot see, nor can it capture the dance of fractal unfolding onto itself. Out of control, spinning against itself may contrast, and we try to hang on amidst the spinning. And in all our hanging on to, zones and self-made filters, diversions and distraction. We make too overt when we approach a truth. We make contact through the eyes, and we let go of contact through the eyes. Barcodes are obsolete. The iris eyes are smiling. The original lens itself to only you and me. We are original at heart. We see this original at heart. We see this original at heart. We make contact through the eyes, and we let go of contact through the
That was awesome.
Beautiful music, beautiful voice. Anyah Deshawn, everybody. Oh, that's the kind of music I listen to on the radio when I want to be in a peaceful mood. Because we started late, and this part will be edited out. Because we started late, we should probably go 8 or 10 minutes longer tonight than we normally would, which would take us to 8:40.
Yeah.
So everything will even out. Welcome to Maria's Taco Express!
Whoa,
Awesmic City poetry and music right here on South Lamar in Austin, Texas. The ostentatious Awesmic Austin, Texas.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Now, I am announcing him in the proper order. Thom, the world poet.
Oh, wait, stop. Got to tell you how impressed I was with what Scott just said about half the human race. Men, boys have a harder time, and a lot of them suicide because you look at the role models. They've got Rambo instead of Rimbo. They've got war instead of peace. Warriors, wounded warriors, are praised more than anyone else. And then they have this relationship with their father of growing up under a cloud of power. You know, the father is the patriarch, the father is God, the father rules. And we all know how weak at the knees some parents can be, especially when you're that parent, and the child questions who you are and you question yourself. And then a greater trauma happens that can destabilize everyone when the father leaves the skin and leaves the world. And when my father died, I had no one to talk to about my father dying except someone else's father had died. By chance he was a pastor, his father had died a year before. And so we talked about how impossible it is to actually react against someone who's not there. And once they're removed, that conversation can't continue, which is why this continuous starts. Recently I did a performance of poetry in this church, and the musician looked rather sad, and I said, what ails thee, knight at arms, alone and palely loitering? And he said, my father just died. And And so we sat down, and then we actually listened to each other about what happens when your father dies. And he told me the true story of his father. And it's a powerful story because the father was not able to love, just able to serve, bring the money into the house, but not the love. And always distant, very bright, like a luminary, but always a distant star. So I thought and thought and thought about his father dying and my father dying, and how you can't talk to someone when they're gone, and how glad we are to have people to talk with who aren't what you might call power figures, but are rather human beings, people. And then I thought more about, okay, what about someone who's still in the shock of loss, or someone before the shock of loss? Say your father's deteriorating and you can't communicate with them, and their hearing is lost, so they can't hear you. They deeply have this need to be heard by the source of your being. So then I read this. When your head is chopped off and you still walk around, people remark you look somewhat lighter now. And aren't you missing something? Cockroaches for days can look like this, yet even they must stop. Chopped heads, a French invention, Dr. Guillotine. Now used by Mexican drug cartel lords, rough executionists, carved muscle tissue, blood issuing. Sometimes even the execution doesn't work. Heads take a long time to dissociate. Now here you are, Kafka. Here you are, wandering Wordsworth. God the Father has left his only begotten Son to borrow a crucifix and get hung up just when Easter was starting to really mean something.
I'm the world poet, Scott Bunyan. Yay. Well, have you heard about the poisons that they use to execute prisoners? Now there's an actual, there is a deficit. They're missing some of these chemicals because there are European manufacturers that will not allow them, and so some states are talking about going back to firing squads. I've heard that on the news lately.
It's true. Well, it's a very primitive thing to kill the killer.
Yeah.
But I think once you kill someone, you've lost your own life anyway.
That's right. And if it turns out that the person didn't actually commit the crime,
That's a
they're
crime.
gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They can't appeal.
Well, on that happy note, we bring you to David Lesser Young,
Sorry.
the Benjamin Franklin doppelganger.
Yes. Hey, Benjamin.
What a way to bring a poet.
I know. That was light, wasn't it?
Maybe I should have say a poem about a death sentence or something.
Perhaps.
But I'm going to be opposite. I'm going to germinate.
Okay.
This poem is called Toobee. To be alive. Upon fair weeds can one sow wildflower, whereupon solid rock one composed to soul. Upon grains of fiber one weaves verse, radiating a meadow full of sensual love of sensation. Will heart of mine dance crystal waves alike chorus, in a prison poetry alliterating among rainbow, misting words kiss aloft, moist, delicate, soft touch, tingling direct meanings in pulsating poetic pulses. Sail inside harmonic hive that levitates like levity, when jovial springs forth nature's enumeration, listing the reason why life must blossom within, germination being pollinated, glad to be alive.
Yes, glad to be alive.
Thank you, David. Well, if you saw the movie or the play, the musical Fiddler on the Roof, there was an example of a pogrom, which was a harassment, a raid made for various political reasons, usually for the Tsar's forces to make a scapegoat of the Jewish communities, and they would come in and wreck the place. In the movie, it was the Russian army, but often they conscripted the Cossacks to perform these duties. I heard recently that, of course, when the Russian Revolution happened and the communists took over, I think they discontinued the use of the Cossacks for things like that, but they had other people to do their dirty work. But I heard recently that I think it was Gorbachev re-enlisted the Cossacks. I don't think necessarily for persecution purposes, but they were a fierce mounted fighting force in the 19th century. Well, this is from my musical Chanteuse, and Sidney Feldman, the owner of the Colloquy Coffee Shop, is listening to these young women singing their songs, their folk songs, and he's looking at this audience of well-heeled people, the first generation since World War II and the Great Depression, to really not remember the bad times, and he comments on it. Let's start off with the girls singing Flowers of Springtime. Now wither the flowers of springtime that once had glistened with dew. Now come autumn and winter, without you, oh, what will I do? Without you, oh, what will I do? These kids these days, always the sad songs. Again, they sing about death. What do they know about death? Now come autumn and winter, without you, oh, what will I do? What do they know about life? They're so young. But the customers seem satisfied. How attentive they are. Look at their nodding content. With everything downbeat and hopeless, they should only be short on the rent. Without you, oh, what will I do? These are new times, these are fat times, these are smug times, much ado times. How soon we forget, but my grandmother could have told these kids a thing or two about life and death and hardship. So often she said to me, beware the next pogrom. The Cossacks will always come, she said. They'll come for you by night and drag you from your bed. Maybe once a week they'll come, maybe once a year they'll come, maybe once a lifetime, but they'll come. Beware the next pogrom. To tell the truth, I didn't know what she was talking about. There weren't any Cossacks in Brooklyn, at least not by the time I was born. This is America, I would tell her. We don't have pogroms here. When she died, I was 13 and recently bar mitzvahed. I knew it all. I went to school, I worked odd jobs, the pogrom never came. I dropped out of school, I worked odd jobs, the pogrom never came. After Pearl Harbor, I joined special services. I got through the war, I was discharged. I got married to my Shirley. I worked the mountains as a comic. I did a couple of Sullivan shows on television. And then my pogrom came. The Cossacks will always come, she said. They'll come for you by night and drag you from your bed. Maybe once a week they'll come, maybe once a year they'll come, maybe once a lifetime, but they'll come. Beware the next pogrom. The congressman asked my name. Sidney Farmer, I told him. Also known as Sidney Feldman? He asked me. Yes, Congressman. Are you a member of the Communist Party? Me? Yes, you. Then I got cute. I said, listen, Congressman, I'm a comic, not a commie. The only Marx I know is Groucho. Some people laugh, but not the Congressman. This is very serious, Mr. Feldman, he warned me. I looked at my lawyer who was covering his face. I pleaded the fifth. Too late, Mr. Feldman. What do you mean too late? You have already begun entering. It's too late to plead the fifth. My lawyer nodded. But I was only joking. The Cossacks will always come, she said. They'll come for you by night and drag you from your bed. Maybe once a week they'll come, maybe once a year they'll come, maybe once a lifetime, but they'll come. Beware the next pogrom. Congressman asked me to read a list. Do you know any of these people, Mr. Feldman? Sure, a couple of them. Did you attend a meeting of the Russo-American Friends Committee with the people on that list? Is that why I'm here? Were you there, Mr. Feldman? Yes, once the war was on. Russia was an ally. A friend invited me. Which friend invited you? I don't remember. Is your friend's name on that list? I didn't answer right away. Just confirm your friend's name and you're free to go. Just like that. Just like that. The Cossacks will always come, she said. They'll come for you by night and drag you from your bed. Maybe once a week they'll come, maybe once a year they'll come, maybe once a lifetime, but they'll come. Beware the next pogrom. We're waiting, Mr. Feldman. I can't remember. You can't remember. Yes, Congressman, I can't remember. You can't remember who invited you. That's right. You said it was a friend. Yes, a friend at the time. Read the list, Mr. Feldman. Which friend, or should I say comrade, invited you to a meeting of that Communist Front organization? I don't recall. Are you perjuring yourself to this committee, Mr. Feldman? No, I just don't recall. Besides yourself, who else on that list was at that meeting? I don't know. The truth, Mr. Feldman, I don't know. Mr. Feldman, I don't know. The Cossacks will always come, she said. They'll come for you by night and drag you from your bed. Maybe once a week they'll come, maybe once a year they'll come, maybe once a lifetime, but they'll come. Beware the next pogrom. Excuse me. It was none of his business who was there. We were just a bunch of entertainers and special services. We played for some Russian soldiers and diplomats in New York, and they invited us to the meeting. I didn't even want to go, but Bernie Rose said, "It'll be fun, Sid." I don't know, Bernie. I said, "Those slinky Russian broads will be there." Well, maybe for a while. So we all went. It was political, and it was dull, and there were no broads, so we left. Bernie Rose talked to the same committee and the same congressman. That's how they got my name. Bernie talked and I didn't. Neither one of us ever got work in show business again. I was lucky I'd saved my money. I bought this place. Poor Bernie blew his brains out. The Cossacks? Oh. Grandmother was right. There are always pogroms. Jewish pogroms in Russia, Holocaust in Germany, Negro pogroms in the South, political pogroms in Washington. Now wither the flowers of springtime that once had glistened with dew. Now come autumn and winter. Without you, oh, what will I do? Let them sing their sad songs. As long as they stay out of politics, they can sing here anytime. Too bad I let Mort Saul go after his first appearance here. Who knew he'd be such a big hit? But it's best to be safe, right, Bernie? Right, Grandmother? Without you, oh, what will I do? Beware the next pogrom! Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Needless to say, they don't stay out of politics and they get in trouble.
Yeah.
Next up again is... I forget. Scott Vanya.
I just sat up. I didn't
Who's right?
I thought I'd try something. The style won't be different, but the content's going to be a lot different. For Christmas, I gave my kids gift certificates. I had no money, so I couldn't give them anything, monetary or bought. So I gave them little pieces of paper with things that they could do for me, or that I would do for them. One of which was like, late is great, Daddy. So we stayed up till 4 or 5 in the morning this weekend. Other things, and one of which they said is called "Tell Us Something We Don't Know." So I have to come up with a story and tell them something I've never told them before. This is just a scenario. Ooh, maybe I can tell them this one. A topic I've never talked about is my mom. So I think it's makes perfect sense that I would sort of do her some justice.
remember the center of my universe. She was round. She had long hair, long brown hair. And I remember looking at her and thinking, I don't need to be or do anything special. I can just be myself. I can enjoy myself. I can smell the roses. I can play with her because she knew more games and silly ways to idle away the time than anybody I've ever met. As I got older, there was a moment in my life in high school where I realized all the girls I had been dating were reminiscent of my mother. And that's no joke. And I don't mean looks or nothing, but just the feeling of comfort and warmth and belongingness, you might call it. Toward the end of my college years, or at least the first phase of my college years, I got sick with mental illness and came home. And I think it's that around that time a major shift in my relationship with my mom occurred. Not because she was in any way unaccepting, because she was very compassionate about the whole situation. But somewhere, and that's probably the title of this thing ever gets called anything. In my youth, I used to call my mom Momma, and I knew her as Momma. For years, it was Momma. And so now, I'm 46, and that same woman in that same body is Mother. And in all honesty, I miss my mama. I have a mother, but I miss my mother. As late as this last weekend, to give an example of what my mom was all about. While my dad was out taking care of that business, my mom and I sat in my living room and talked, which we were able to do. She laid on my couch with her arm under her head on a pillow. All the moms I knew from other kids would never have adopted such a posture to talk to their kids. She epitomizes comfort. She represents to me everything that is good and honest, easy, except politics, where she gets very serious. Yellow dog Democrat. Not surprising, I have communist tendencies. My dad, Union man, had 4 generations. And it's to her I credit my sensitivity and my sense of peace. And I forget that sometimes. That I am a peaceful man. And I have inside me her. It's hard going into a marriage where you see your wife not acting toward your kids the way your mom acted toward you. Probably my first doorway. The funniest thing, and I'm only cogitating about this now because I thought it was so funny at the time. These days it doesn't really matter to me much because I have no desire to get published or make famous or anything like that. I just do what I do because I have to do it. There was a time when I moved into my new apartment, my current home. I was really big into the publishing game, submitting wildly, put together 16 books or whatever on my right. And I sat on the floor of that bedroom and she said, you know, Scott, if you ever get published, I'm not going to love you any more than I already do.
Thanks, Scott. And my parents were always, Franklin D. Roosevelt Democrats. I think maybe my father may have voted for, I can't imagine that he voted for Ronald Reagan, but I know if he did, he regretted it.
Yeah.
And I know he was a big fan of Bill Clinton. He defended him. And my mother, she's the sweetest person in the world, but as she got older and older, she got to be more like Lou Dobbs. And about Hispanic people, Mexican Americans. I don't know. There's something in her background that, but anyway, I should not discuss that in public here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was at Anyah's house Saturday night
There you are.
for Awesmic City Cafe,
Yes, yes.
and we had a wonderful time. And I took some pictures and
Feeling back.
put them on Facebook. And her picture, a picture of Anyah on her keyboard,
Yeah.
was the most popular of them all. I got 20 or 30 people saying,
Wow.
that's Anyah, that's my sister, that's,
Wow.
love Anyah and all that. And why not? Anyah Deshawn.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. I haven't even been on Facebook. I think I get on there once
She
a
put
week
you
now.
on. She put you on. It's good. Nice picture.
Love, peace, happiness, love, love, love. Skies are blue, sunshine and gentle rain. Love, love, love. Love is here, love is there. Love is everywhere. Children laughing, rainbows reaching across the sky for them to see. Love is in this room. Love presence is meant to be. Rivers flowing, clear blue waters. Life streams everywhere in you and me. The birds and the flowers, the flowers and the bees. No time to stop and stare at the beautiful green trees that sunshine and gentle rain. Love is here, love is there, love is everywhere. Rainbows reaching across the sky for us to see. Love, 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 peace and happiness. Love, peace and happiness. Love,
Ah, see? Lovely, Facebook.
Oh, great.
22 people like this picture.
Two people with good taste.
Ignacio Perez La Madrid,
Oh, that's
my dear sister, my blessings. Carmen Morgado Blanco, hermosa añadición, saludos afectuosos.
all right.
Still
Wow.
like
Very good.
All the way from Mexico City.
Excellent.
Wow. And
Facebook gets around.
and to follow these praises,
Yeah.
Thom the world poet.
Swiss Scott, eh?
Swiss Scott.
Yeah.
Rania.
I love what Andy just said about the trees. When I was very young, I used to look up at the trees and saw these huge elders, these trees that no longer exist. They're hundreds of feet tall, and all those trees are like growing and gone. I think of this every year when they have Australia Day, which is the 26th of January. It started in 1788, and this is what I wrote today, trying to deal with the fact that almost all the things we love eventually get taken from us. Cultural appropriation, post-displacement, Native Americans become Jean-Jacques Rousseau's noble savages, after their land and lifestyles have been suborned, then sold to sentimentalists seeking new lifestyles. Kill the deer, then make wire deer for Christmas lawn decorations. Slaughter bison, then have bison farms for steaks. Wipe out indigenous cultures and go tribal at Burning Man. Assimilation is continuous. Choice is removed from us. Like Palestinians, we did not seek to be displaced. Like African cultures, ask us white rock started black. Mass murder then merge and morph. Reservations become casinos. Actors impersonate originals until we lose all differences. Land knows, applies drought and flood, sun and storm, ice and snow. We dispute why elements combine to make emergencies rather than emergence. Ask indigenous how they dealt with climate change and us. First you need to learn new old languages, because white is not a colour. Sleeping land, indigenous languages, dreamtime stories, and ancestors. Some ships, a few strangers, camped and shot, claimed to own, came to dominate and possess, claimed naming rights. Superimposed straight lines and fought to kill native species, bought in their own as cattle, farm and slaves. Whip, gun, horse, dray, fences, laws, jails, schools. Demanded we stay under a foreign flag today. This was ours in custody before all flags. We knew the stories, song lines, waterholes. Flora, fauna histories, we were of this land for centuries, eons. Foreign hands still claim this nation. They speak paper, contracts, treaties, walls, guns, fear. We shrink from these poor stories, withdraw from here. Only when the land can sing with, to, for, and because of us will there be peace. There are still languages. Read them in the wild trees. Thank you, sir.
And now, again, one David Lester Young.
The one and the only one.
Oh, thank
Wait a minute, I have to say something first. Welcome to Maria's Taco Express. This is Awesmic City. No, don't sit down. This is Awesmic City Poetry and Music. On January the 21st, 2014. And now again, here is David Lester Young.
Well, the a cappella poet is back. We're going to do Keep the World Stinging. I figured if I keep singing a cappella, eventually I'll get the right timing and the right key, whatever that is. And, I'm going to get an instrument, so that'll help. But here it goes. Keep the world stinging. Sing me a tune with the sting, singing a light, delightful lyrics, sailing along musical harmony, sail drifting love melody, thread my soul in pure sunshine, feeling that sting power vibration. Vibrate those strings to the heart, floating on sensual sound sensation. Play me a song with a sting, playing a chorus in pure tranquility, plucking with heartstring motion. Pluck the rose and love me emotion. Thread my soul in pure sunshine, feeling that sting power vibration. Vibrate those strings to the heart, floating on essential sound sensation. Sting me in an ecstatic love potion, in a vibrating love lotion that tingles in pure pollination. Blossoming forth the feminine flower, in to be lovers, singing a sting song for forever, forever and more. Thank
you. Ben Franklin Doppelganger. Okay. Well, I have had 2 poems published about 40 years apart. The most recent one was last year, the first poem I had written in years and years for the Mermaid Tales.
Oh, yeah.
And due to Thom talking me into going and writing a poem, and I've been writing ever since, every month, almost every week.
And now look at you.
And now look at me. Now look at me. I'm world famous.
I know you.
Yes. You knew me when.
I knew you when.
Well, the first one I have published, I lived in San Francisco for a while back in the 70s, and I worked at a place called Glide Memorial Church, which, if you remember the old Flip Wilson routine, the Church of What's Happening Now, it was kind of based on that. Or if you ever saw Sweet Charity, the church that was it Sammy Davis Jr. or Ben Vereen was the preacher there, but anyway, it was kind of a hip church. It was supposedly a Methodist church, but they had I think they had a priest and they had a rabbi there as well, and it was and they had a great outreach to the community, all the community in San Francisco, the very varied community in San Francisco. And I was a secretary there. I worked for the church secretary for a while, and later I rented her basement from her and her family, and we got to be big friends over the years. But I wrote this about feeling alienated in a new city, and I used this as part of the basis of my play Among Amazons later, changing the context, but still, when you're in a new city that's very strange, and it was like living in this modern white pueblo. And in Among Amazons, the character is from Laura Sabanal is from New Mexico, so she kind of went from pink pueblos to white pueblos. San Francisco. San Francisco, alien city. Your winds blow warm and cold like the faces of your people. My passions rise and settle with the drift of your mist. You have welcomed me wholly, only to snub me in your streets. I exist through your benevolence, yet your whims deny my being. I am both one with your spirit and nothing to your numb heart. I will win you, be assured, you will love me yet. I have learned your fickle moods, they cannot faze me now. I turn my face to your changing gusts and bear the wind and the rain. They cannot erode my new flowered self, they cannot erase my naked soul. I pour and I flow with your elements, now that I know I'm whole. And that was published, thank you. That was published in the Glide Memorial Church newsletter, and my friend V wrote across it. Fantastic, really made me feel good.
Yeah.
And to make us all feel good, here is Scott Vanya.
Oh yeah, Mr. Van.
Quite a challenge.
Yeah, last year been great. What do you call that? Sister, brother?
Yeah,
Great as well.
this many turns, man.
Yeah, it's sort of tricky. You gotta push yourself.
I thought if we're talking about talents, I love talking about Austin. So yeah, we'll talk about Austin.
Sure.
Easy topic.
Yeah, avoid internet.
Yeah, I sort of did that. Okay. I wanted to see if I can find some new music here. Okay. That's not new, but close enough. And I know I speak for a lot of towns. And I refer to Austin as a town because it's a town, it's not a city. I'll give you a good example. A town is a place where you can have an experience like this. The other day, I went into Savers. Right down the street from here. I was looking at the videos because I had a couple bucks and I wanted to buy some videos to watch with the kids, or I think it was my night to watch videos, so I was looking at videos for me. That's my bedtime story. And there's a guy standing next to me, elderly man. You know, elderly, and I'm an old man nowadays, so an elderly man, older than me, I should say. Had more white hair than I do, and had more hair than I do, so he's doing better off than I do. But and he proceeded, between the two of us, we proceeded to list and give directions for at least, between the two of us, 6 different video stores in town. That's a town. If I was living in Houston, I could describe to somebody where the corner store was. Which gets us to talking about what makes Austin charming. The other day, I went to get my hair cut. What? Got my hair cut, my nose. No, this is the last time. And what started off being a very dangerous, volatile situation with the hairstylist. Because I had said I wanted to get it cut long. And we would go over it.
I did not know they were closing at 8. Had I known they were closing at 8, I would have gone by there before I went to Goodwill. And I think about people in New York. I lived in Chicago for 3 or 4 years, and it wasn't pleasant there. My going story when I came back home was in the first week during orientation in Chicago. 3 people smiled at me, one of which was mentally retarded. Oh. So there's not a lot of friendliness going on there. People in Austin will almost honk at you not to get irritated with you, but to offer you better routes. So I'm sitting in that barber shop and I say, I want to keep it long. And she said, I want to cut it once.
Whoa.
And I thought, ooh boy, this could be trouble. Where are you from? So I told her to answer her phone, make her calls to her boyfriend, do whatever she wants. We're here as long as it needs to be. I'm not in a hurry. And by the time it was over, we were smiling. I just wanted to hug her. You know, it was cool. It's no wonder my brother lives in Maryland and wants to come home. But I got some bad news recently because he said he's got some lovers up there, and he may not want to come back when his kids go to college, which has always been my sort of fancy. Austin is a town where in each week you have half a dozen farmers markets.
Yes. That's true.
People don't really talk or think about these, they practice it. It's a town, and I don't think we should be calling it the music capital of the world. We should be calling Austin the random act of kindness capital. We'll do that in this town than anybody anywhere else. They should hand them out to elementary school students to put on their car. Austin is a town where you don't even have to be a good guitarist. Which is nice. We're in person in my city. And it's funny because the people who come here, like Kathy last week,
Yeah.
they can get drawn into a moment in an H-E-B or Starbucks anywhere and begin to sort of see the light in the eyes of Austin. It's my mission to make new people in Austin feel native as soon as possible. Enough I've told y'all this story, but this is a great story. I love this story. I was doing my work called me to be at a hotel during the summer for a week. For a month, actually. And I was friends with all the other directors. I was a front, but I was friends with the directors of the curriculum. One of which I liked. Well, I liked them all. I mean, I was good with paintings like Katie and everybody I could see. She was a native. And we're in this hotel room of 100+ people, and all the panel members were reading the textbooks. We're sitting up at the front table. And I had just realized I had gone native because when people asked me, where are you from, I was going to tell them Austin. Morgan passed me the text, but I'm from Austin. So I was real proud of myself for having gone native, for making that discovery. So at this table, I look over at her and say, hey, you know, I told her that story, you know, I've gone native. I decided Austin's my home. She sort of looks over at me and says, that's what we expected you to do.
Yeah. This is it. Yeah.
There, it's like this.
And he's got, again, Anyah Deshawn.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're on the mermaid thing,
Yes.
but we're actually mermen.
Well, yeah.
That's a mermaid.
Juicy Mermaid.
You appeared consort to mermaid, with a virile strength and yet graceful and seductively adorned. The black rock towering from the white-capped ocean crest, cashing teal blue waves in the moonlight, can be seen by those who can draw them out of the deep secret waters, reflecting the cloud. Mermen journey under the deep sea and are hidden in unknown caves. A kind of sensual solitude. They on a Venus, Jupiter night, surface under the moonlight to capture a fleeting wisp of the full moon's white ringed glow. Clouds drift by, crossing over the moonlight mice, mysterious ships in the night. We may never see the moment when mermen surface above the water. It is forbidden for this to be seen, and it is rarer still to catch a glimpse of tears as they trickle down the tree. And it is rarer still to see the tears as they trickle down the cheeks of the virile mermen under the tree. Only in the quietude of the moonlight, with open eyes, can one see the waves wash these tears into the ocean. Oh, the ocean is made of the salty tears of grace from the virile and sensuously adorned mermen of the great depths. You appear to be consort to mermaid. You can be seen by those who can draw them out of the deep secret waters. You're reflected like a cloud.
Thank you, Anyah. In the world of, I don't know what you would call it, new age, ambient music, there are two names to remember, Anyah and Anyah.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
That's all you need to know. And we're happy to have one of them right here, Anyah Deshawn. Once again, Thom, the world poet.
Recently, the demise of Steve Fromholtz and Larry Monroe struck me close because we've shared lives with both those people. Larry Monroe was very, very open to poets on radio, and musicians working with poets, very, very rare. But so I had to think about, okay, what happens during the process of departure and what happens when people are gone? Soundtracks towards silences. Smacked at birth to scream into life, slowly losing speech as silence approaches, one or two will make a show of their passages to share what's most important to them. Awareness and consciousness combined with communication to diary, text, tweet, decline or progress. As breath falters, others may wish to know what happens when you lose the will to flow. We cover death with rituals and secrecy, make tears and truisms cover this thin inevitability. Each culture legalizes what is necessary, narcotics, euthanasia, withdrawal of life support systems with the consent of the person leaving and the knowledge of family and friends. We will all make this solo journey at some unchosen moment. What matters most is what you choose to share at the door of this most sacred passage. And once you're gone, you're forgotten, except when you turn and an image ghost lingers, or a voice familiar, or some habit reminds you, or you feel deja vu, or in the night a dream, you are somewhere else, faces, laughing, giggling children. Mosaic memories rebuild sand castles, the tides, mementos of meaning, photographs, home movies. You're not moving. You're still, silent. Click, click, clicking of a camera, sprockets, obsolete machineries, black and white until you can only see black or white.
Thank you, Thom.
My pleasure.
Once again, I cut off my head.
Oh, why did you do that?
I don't know why.
What the
Well,
heck?
when someone is sitting down, I move the camera, I zoom the camera in, and then I come up and hello. So I'm going to repeat what I said before.
You can say that again.
I will say that again. In the world of ambient and new age music, there are two names to remember, Anyah and Anyah. Thank you very much. Welcome to Maria's Taco Express, Awesmic City, poetry and music. January 21st, 2014. And now it's time for that Benjamin Franklin doppelganger. That's David Lester Young.
We all are influenced by writers and other poets and different influences in our lifetimes. Hopefully, maybe one of my goals is to inspire other people to inspire others. This one is called Shakespearean Seduction. Shakespearean drama, thus in royal words, scorned inside lovers' thorns, among twisted sagas of intertwining desire, where lust sets verse on fire, hypnotic sense in reflections, incensed by sonnet cadences, bearing aroused words in rhythmic poetic patterns that resonate in histrionic personification. Poetry's aura of forevermore, set adrift in literature's PowerPoint stage presence, essential vibrations of meter and rhyme, singing aloft woven weave verses, in stanzas that beguile love's mystery, in feminine love me not, that meanders the bed spring pleasure of to and fro metrical movements. Oh, the woe in a woman's wounds that weathers a man's groaning transgression, within the alabaster white ivory soft breast of Shakespearean seduction. Satirical tragedy of vices and follies, in masculine and feminine fantasies that bemoans the groans and bewitching liaisons of partenical partaking, that from the beginning roots of the poetic English language, Shakespeare did stimulate the strength of romantic rhyme among enticing romance theatrics, that verse that has endured the wrath of time in the swath-bearing poetic rhyme, where love has formed literature's epic climaxes upon the lip movement's sensual sway. To be or not to be a poet, that is the question. Were all's worth a poetic stage, that thou art a lover of poetry, to bar Cupid's swing? What is in the name if thou had not loved Shakespearean verse? Who taught thee how to make me love thee more, to love the mastery of literature first in Shakespearean seduction? Thank you.
Thanks, David. Well, next month will mark a year since I've actually, well, I was a poet before then.
Wow.
But I've been writing poetry earnestly since last February.
Yeah,
Yay! And this year is going to be Dog and Cat Tales.
Yes, it is.
And I wrote a dog poem for that, and I have some cat poems that you've heard before that but this is the other poem that I have that has been published so far, 40 years apart from the other. Anyah mentioned Merman.
Yes.
And this is about the legendary mermaid and the magic catfish in Salado Creek. Last year, the Mermaid Tales was to raise funds to recast the sculpture that resided in Salado Creek and was damaged by floods of the Little Mermaid and the magic catfish. So this is about that. And my mother was from that area, and my grandmother always made us dewberry cobbler. And on another visit to Salado, I saw dewberries growing along Salado Creek, and I said, aha, that's where they come from. This is all about, everything I know about Salado and the mermaid is in this one. Come home to us. Come home to us, little mermaid, for all of us have missed you here. I have seen you in past times in that clear glass of water, Salado Creek, following a merciful spring shower. Come home to us with your magic catfish. Bless this quaint hamlet with your fishy spirit. Stay with we mortals and swim that lucid stream beside the wild dewberry vines, the fruit of which furnished grandmother's cobbler long since tasted. Inhabit that chilled brook where coaches of old stopped for drink, for horses and for our forebearers. Beguile us again with your beatific whimsy. Let us project on you our ancient lore. Let play in our souls your mythic fancy, belike your distant sister beside the harbor in wonderful, wonderful Copenhagen. Beckon us to your water's edge to drink in your essence of hope. Thank you. And now the very hopeful Scott Vanya.
Great stuff.
What's the thing now?
Well, yeah, I would really like to play and not talk. Did you want to talk while I play?
Sure, happy to. I love to. Good to see you. A lot of people tell me to keep quiet, especially when I start talking. And I tell them, silence is a language like every other language. And underneath all the silence, there's anger, frustration, preemptive violence. There's all these things that are just waiting to leap out like tigers. So I'd rather trust the articulation. People say, well, you know, words have been abused. I say, I know they've been abused. I quote the Russian poet Evgeny Evtushenko, my friends, we must return to words their original meaning. I mean, Hallmark doesn't own love, but Valentine's Day was a massacre. And they talk about Chicago, the cold winds, and that garage, and the news, which is not new, it's the same thing being repeated in different skin. So when each of us walks down a little path trying to articulate the actual world we're living in 2014, January 21, we find it's different to January 20th and 19th and 18th, 17th, because there's something actually unique about this night. When these cameras record, they're only recording a partial fragment, you know, a little angle of the light. Okay? But we will recall it in a different light. We'll recall those moments of juicy delight when someone said something that actually hit home, and you go, oh yeah, that's right, that's true, that line is true. The rest of it, throw the rest of the palm back. But that what he said then, that got my funny bone going. And I will forgive. People say, over mics, you know, it's like inflation of language. I say, but always there's a golden line. Maybe some silver lines. Some aluminum lines. And every now and then you get platinum fish. And the fish leaps up in surreal splendor. And then you get a Zen frog on a lotus pond. And then you get a magical rainbow. And sometimes you get a whole village where people are dreaming and they're sharing their dreams. And that's where we come in, you see. You open the door of the night and suddenly everyone is speaking the same language. It's a language of symbol and metaphor, assonance, alliteration, onomatopoeia, and it's a language that is a meta-language because we've met each other before in previous lifetimes and we're meeting each other again in the conjugation of connotation because everything suggests something else. Things are not just things, and in fact things are just full of spaces thrown together to fill up a little space. It's largely the spaces between us. So look at us, we're full of holes. 2 holes in our eyes, 2 holes up our nose, 2 holes in our ears, and I won't go the other holes. But the bottom line is, there's spaces that define us and spaces that will not define us. And our job in our life is to actually get the dance right. To get the steps of the dance, which connects it all together. Like dolphins dance a particular dance, and whales dance a different dance, and trees dance a particular wooden dance, and the earth itself is pulsing, and we're pulsing. And we don't see most of that until we start to articulate it. And then like articulated vehicles, we recognize the other in each other. We realize then we're all parts of a jigsaw puzzle. And the greater picture comes when someone sings, and suddenly the words are wings, and here we are flying birds, in or out of formation, going towards horizons, because there's no limits, no laws, no visas, no passports that birds can't fly over.
Well, the usual suspects have been holding forth all night, but we have fresh blood now.
I'm gonna tune up really quick.
Yes?
It's gonna take maybe like a minute.
Okay, then we will go on
Really?
to Anyah Deshawn. Hey!
Wished upon a moon one night, things can go so far. I've wished upon a million comets before, and tonight I wished upon a star. I wish my world was full of love, I wished my world to be clean. I wished my world to commune with above, I wished my world serene. to see in your heart and in your eyes that you wish the same. The comets soar across the skies when we meet and call each other's name. Oh, comets have a name, they say, and comets fly high in the sky, and comets appear to lead the way and always catch our eye. Today is only for today, and tomorrow is not here. Your hand in mine, and to me you say, when I look in your eyes, there is no fear, and beauty rushes through our veins when we decide to take a step toward reaching out for love again. For this moment our hearts were kept. I wished upon the moon one night, things can go so far. I've wished upon a million comets before, and tonight I wished upon a star. I wished upon a star, and here you are. I wished upon a star, and here you and I are. I wished upon a moon one night. I wished upon a star.
The wonderful Anyah Deshawn. Since we're toward the bottom of the list anyway, let's just go ahead and hear David Lester Young, and then we'll bring in our fresh blood.
Oh!
So next up is David Lester Young.
I was awoken from the vibration of the train during the night, and I wrote this one. Vibrating tracks, night quill, silent night stillness of complacency, melancholy, pensive mood, contemplation, subtle vibration deposit, deposition in soundtracks of railroad composition. Surroundings area dictate a cerebral solution as the train of thought roasts upon subtle resolution within minds during the drift cerebral meditation, where celestial spirits do create poetic reflection upon ink stains that lay down tracks of poetry, rippling chills upon vibrating tracks night quill. Thank you.
Okay, now our fresh blood. Do you need to plug in or anything?
No, it's fine. Just
Okay.
if I can.
That's an unusual guitar you have there. Did you make that yourself?
No, my friend Donovan made it. He makes
Wow.
awesome ukuleles.
Yeah, that's a ukulele. The old blues singer, rock and roll singer, Bo Diddley had a square cigar box guitar.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
that was his icon. Anyway, your name is Eslerh?
Eslerh.
Eslerh, I have messed it up. Eslerh, everybody.
Hello, how's it going? So I normally do comedy, that's what I normally do and stuff. But I've been practicing a little bit of ukulele lately, and well, I came to perform a little bit of that I have with me. Hopefully you like it. I am a really, I'm not much of a singer, so I'm not gonna even try to sing because there's not really there's any lyrics to this thing, so I'm just gonna go. And I see you have videos and stuff, and that's really nice that you have all this cool stuff around. I'm gonna say a couple of things before I start. Yeah, I can actually. This one a little low. There we go. This is perfect like this. I like it like this. Alright. So like I said, I do comedy, that's what mainly I do. And so today I'm not gonna do a lot of comedy. I'm just gonna be funny. No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna do a little bit of ideas that I'm gonna put out there.
Yes.
And let's see. I wanna say a couple of things. First of all, expressing yourself is so important.
Yes.
So I'm so happy that all of you are here, and there should be more and more and more events like this that people can just come out and express who they are, because I'm a true believer that when people express who they are and they shine that star within them, it's what we need in this world. So thank you for coming here and being part of this amazing place. So thank you for having me. And awesome place too. Alright, so this is a song that I've been practicing. It's not really a song that anybody wrote, it's just my song, but here it goes. See, I'm gonna use my jacket, kind of like, yeah, let's look good in both all the angles that I can.
Oh yeah, yeah, very good. Camera's watching.
You have to know it's a camera sometimes, you know? Alright.
Is that camera?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Seems like it's in tune. So here goes. This is my second time playing the ukulele. The first time that I did was last Thursday, and I had it in my backpack. It was out of tune. Didn't have time to tune it, so I played a really bad song, but people liked it, so that was good. So this is the song that I meant to play that night, and I felt really bad.
One more.
Right, one more. So the rest of the thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the harmonica. Woo!
Whoa.
Alright, so the last thing that I'm gonna do is play this, and then I'm gonna put this in my mouth, and I'm gonna grab this, I'm gonna put this out, and then I'm gonna play. Anyways, I'm not gonna explain to you what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do it because I really don't know what I'm gonna do. So again, this is another improvised song that I'm gonna play for you, and hopefully you like it. And but it goes something like this. Right, so here it goes. And now me and Jack are gonna say something together. Ready, Jack?
Oh, yeah. So, woohoo!
Light brigade.
Light brigade.
Light brigade.
Light brigade.
Light brigade.
Light brigade.
Don't frack with us.
Don't frack with us.
Light brigade.
Light brigade.
Don't frack with us.
Don't fuck with us. I mean,
Light brigade.
Brown light brigade.
Don't frack
Frack
with
us.
us.
Thank you so much.
Eslerh, we just have enough time for Sam. He came in late, and then Thom will sum it all up for us as usual.
Group photo.
Group photo? Let's do this first, then do the group photo.
Group photo.
Let's finish the show, and then we'll do the group photo. All right. All right. Sam.
Perfect. You're our witness, it's really happening.
Yeah.
An audience.
That's right.
It's called Lost and Last Christmas. The feeling of blues was brief. I assume not being in a relationship sort of kept all ideas associated with the event at bay. Still, the sense of loss and deprivation kept on crawling under my skin. So I got drunk and high in an hostile environment called work, a restaurant, trying to be open with people with whom I really had nothing in common. To eat until you get sick in order to avoid the real questions, real communication. To numb oneself one more time and watch the hours go by among strangers, in fact. People we call fathers, mothers, sisters, to whom most feel obligated because of a date in the calendar announcing the birth of someone that only exists in the imagination of most, because all religions' belief come from Egypt. Yes, Christmas is just an adaptation of an old pagan belief, a travesty where some fat white man with a red nose rides a sled in the company of happy reindeers in the middle of the sky. This is what Christmas is to me. Why did the poet die? The poet died because when he looked for his own reflection in those he thought had a heart, he found nothing but regrets, fears, pent-up anger, the horror of countless wars, the knife that slices the skin without anesthesia, the kind of behavior found in contemptuous people, people who reject true emotions, people who prefer to play a role, a game of guessing in order to validate insecurities. The poet died when he switched from an endless thought process, a universal formula, to a rigid way of communicating, recognized among his peers, his fears. The poet died when he gave up on the possibility of sharing, of caring, of living, and of being free.
We do not give up.
Okay, to sum it all up now, Thom the World Poet, Anyah Deshawn,
Yeah.
and then we will have a group picture. Everyone hang around for the group picture in a couple of minutes. You're there?
It was rare to hear the fact that someone was here as a witness to hear what was happening here. We're not used to it here. We're used to everybody being part of whatever it is, this potpourri of potluck and potlatch. The idea that the invisible tribe includes every part of our bloodstream. And the air we breathe is actually in common. And all of us are jigsaw pieces that fit together into a great big group photograph, which we take every time just to prove this is actually happening. Because we don't necessarily believe that this is really happening until we believe that this is actually happening. Just tonight, some brave souls were up there with the light in their hands, the light in their hearts, the light in their eyes, saying, "Don't crack with us." Just tonight, some brave souls were standing here in the cold, saying, "Come dance with us. Come dance with us now." And outside, the witnesses were racing to other people's visions. But the visions inside are the ones that need to come out tonight. And the cold is only the backdrop, because the light that shines in the darkness is the light in your eyes, the light in your heart, the light in your hands, the light that changes things, because it puts a light on things. Instead of water being destroyed for oil, which you can't drink, water is loved for the spiritual power of water intrinsically. Before it was called holy, but it was always sacred. And air may be used to keep these engines going, but it's also used to keep our hearts going, translated into the oxygen in our bloodstream, a way of sharing dreams. And Earth is not just dug up for what you call valuable, mining asteroids and meteors and taking. No, Earth is a concrete poem, awaiting our bones. It has to be patient because it was here before us and will be here long after us. And fire is not just a thing that warms us and warns us that we can't mess with things. Fire is that energy that activates and changes things by applying its electric energy to everything around, acoustically, harmonically. Because we are elemental beings, we're stardust and we are part of each other, and that story has to be told as if for the very first time every night. Because we forget that we dream, we forget that we're not the only dreamers, we forget that we're part of a bigger dream. And in that forgetting, sometimes we remember something. I remember the night, do you remember the night of 21st of January 2014, when we were together for a short moment, and we started to listen to each other, not just talk at each other, but actually listen and hear that subterranean dream. I know it happened because there was a person here who witnessed it, and claimed to be the witness, so it really proved as true. Now, I don't believe in anything, but I do believe in you.
It takes all of us. 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 All of us. All of us.
It did take all of us. Thank you, Thom and Anyah. Well, I would like to thank Maria's Taco Express, Aaron and Oscar for setting up their part of the equipment, and Anyah for setting up her equipment. And if some of you would like to hang around and help us roll up cables and things later. I'm getting to that, but I'm ending the show here. Anyway, thank you very much. We'll be here next week. Good night. Now we'll do the picture.